What's up, guys? We're back here with the Let's Play series. We are going to double dip again today, and we're going to go back over that topic from yesterday's Let's Play series, or 2 days ago. Before, we want to make sure we open the quests, get our XP, change missions. So we got to go a little quick. We got about 10 minutes to do these things. So we're looking for a low or medium there, but more importantly is this supply one. Alright, so grain we can actually do. It's easy. We just have to purchase that. We don't have any more grain, so let's go grain. And we'll go ahead and pick up the grain right there. Or do we want a smaller batch? No, we'll take that one. That one is fine. Okay, so I don't know if we'll be able to do the XP quest. So that is a lot of XP in about 10 minutes. 60k in 10 minutes. Probably not going to be able to do that. So we're going to, abandon that quest for now. Just going to head back and do the other ones. Let's see. So the video yesterday, the Let's Play series, that one we touched upon, free-to-play players and paying players. And then also we can talk about the update that happened last night. So there was the big major update. Unfortunately, it wasn't much of an update. They only fixed the moles. So the moles are now acting like they should, where when you kill it, it instantly respawns. But the moles do not respawn in the exact same location every single time. So the moles, they spawn in semi-random locations around the map. There's a certain spawn area. So you can't just camp it non-stop. You have to actually search for it. It should still spawn close by to wherever it was killed, but it's not going to spawn in the exact same spot. There's also at least 3 moles in every single map zone that it goes to war. So there is a bunch of moles around. And then the moles, they drop treasure chests or bags that you open up with labor, and inside you get pure Archeum. So it's a really, really great change for the free-to-play players and also for the high gear score players, because the moles are arguably the best thing to do, like the most efficient way to make money in the game via farming Archeum and then selling it. So let's take a look at the Archeum price, because it's about 20 to 30 labor for opening up the bags, and you get around 200 to 300 Archeum per mole, depending on like the level of the bag and the level of the mole that you killed. So you notice the Archeum price is coming down slightly. And in part, this has to do with the moles, because now there's just a lot more moles spawning. Before, there was a delay. There was about a 2-minute-ish delay after you killed a mole. And they also got glitched sometimes. So supposedly the glitch is all fixed. We don't know for a fact yet. We haven't farmed moles. We haven't got the data from people yet. But yeah, supposedly the moles are fixed, and now it's kind of like instant respawns once they're killed. So it's going to promote a lot of open world PvP, because again, those are like the best resources and everyone should be fighting over them, more so than the rifts. Especially with the core prices being so low now, the rifts aren't as important, I guess you'd say. Moles actually are more important. They're more valuable. More valuable is the right word than the rifts. And way more consistent, and they can also be done solo as a sorcery class. I don't know if they changed that or not, but sorcery was the only skill tree, to my knowledge, obviously there could be more, that could actually solo kill the moles, because you have to do a DPS check. You have to do a certain amount of damage in 30 seconds to kill the mole before it heals. Alright, so we need another flower. So definitely go explore the map, go look for moles. You're probably going to want to bring a couple friends with you, if so, because I'm hearing that there is a lot of 5v5 PvP, so small group PvP happening now. Which is great. I mean, that's what you want to promote. You want to have big Rift PvP, which unfortunately, with the Rifts not being very valuable right now, the 50 versus 50 battles probably aren't happening as much. And of course, over time, people get bored with the content and bored with losing, and they end up quitting or doing something else. Because it's not really fun if your group just constantly dies, right? So the winners, they have a little bit of fun. They stomp other people, and they're like, ha ha, yeah, we won. But the losers, they eventually give up. That's just how psychologically it happens. You don't want to keep feeling that pain, that loss over and over and over again. So eventually you give up and you're just like, yeah, screw this. Let's get rid of these things. So Archeum Dust, you convert it into the pure, the more, not pure Archeum, but into the Archeum Shards. And, you know, the Archeum Shards are worth so little that it's not worthwhile to spend 6 labor on those dust at all. Like, that is one of the worst things that you could actually do with your labor and with your, you know, time and energy. You can see we can buy 5,000 of those shards for just 1 BSLT. And to make 5,000 of those shards, it would have costed us so much labor off of those dust things. It's just terrible. So like, some of the stuff is still out of balance, in my opinion. I don't know if we'll ever see Archeum shards go up in value. We can't really see that happening because the, you know, price of the pure Archeum is so low. They did say that XL Games will actually buy Archeum at certain points if it is, you know, quote unquote too low. We don't know what, you know, what like low means to them. But we're at 18 for 5,000. I do think this is going to go a little bit lower too, actually. So this is also why, like, I do not recommend a housing anymore, because Archeum prices are going to go down significantly. So as long as they're above 10 BSLT for the 5,000 and 20 BSLT for the 10,000, it's still decent to do. Oops. But it's not very good. Like, I wouldn't recommend people to go and buy land or to rent land, really, because too many people are doing it and there's not much enough demand. So like this 4.2, like this is pretty bad for the labor market. So with the labor prices and with the Archeum prices down so much, it makes houses way worse. Like, you're barely making profit for a month of a house now as a renter. So right now the current renting price is $135 for a small land. They actually did do a change though, so you can actually rent a house cheaper than $135 now. Let's see, what is that? Is it community? No. So they added the feature where you can check the history of rentals, which is really cool. So you can see now these lines. So we got this green line here, and this is showing someone that rented a medium house. And so the medium house rent price is standard 200. The standard small one is 100. So you can see a couple values there. The large standard one is right around like 600, because these are the XL Games values. But you can now set it, you can set it 50% lower. So instead of renting it for 600 on the large, you can find them down as low as 300. And same thing with the other one. So you can decrease the price 50% from what it was, and then you can also increase the price by, I think it's like 100%. So you can change the rent values now on your own land if you own the land. XL Games ones are always going to be that same standard price until they change them in the future. Ooh, shots fired. Oli, how do you play every day for 6 hours plus and still same game score as free-to-play players? I mean, the answer is very simple. He's selling all his loot and making money. He's playing the game, grinding it out to earn a profit and not to progress his character. Like, that's the answer there, guys. It's very simple. All right, let's check on our items to see as the daily resets right there. Okay, so 24 on these guys. Supply ore. Hey, we don't have any more mineral crystals either. And we want to change that one. So the patch didn't have much. Nice, we got that one. Into it as a content related. Nothing really new, just a little system change on the land. And then the mold changes, which means that next week, in 7 days, we're going to get ancestral level mobs, a new hunting ground, we're going to get Luna gems, unless they delay all that stuff. But technically they said it's coming in October. And October is ending next week. There's also the potential for a Halloween event. They haven't said anything about it, but in an MMORPG like this, you should do holiday events. And I don't know if they celebrate Halloween over in Asia, in that region, so I don't know if that's a holiday that happens there or if they're celebrating. But if they do, they should actually put out a Halloween-based event or something for the community. So we'll see. Sometimes when games launch, at the beginning of the servers, they don't do any events for like the first couple months because they're just focusing on getting the core game working. So there's a chance that we get absolutely no events, and that's what happens. It's just like, hey, sorry, no Halloween event because we're still working on the core issues and features and making sure that the game, functions as intended, and then we'll do some events. But we already saw they did a land event, so they are open to doing events. Mineral crystal. Oh wow, there's stacks of 100. We don't want that many, do we? Let's take a look, at finishing touches. Oh wow, they're down to 1.1. I don't even know if that's profitable anymore. It's probably not. So this is what we touched on before, is that it gets so cheap that it's either not profitable because everyone is trying to sell their excess inventory, or people are so dumb that they're crafting it at a loss. There's two different options there. But that's why we didn't want to have a ton of that inventory, because it could go down significantly like that. So we made some good BSLT on those. We sold some at 3 and 4, I think. But now it doesn't even look like it's worthwhile to do those. Let's see. So you need 15 of these guys. That would be a 0.3. Yeah, just looking at that, you're like 0.3 already on this one. And then we would need sap, which again, you're about 0.3. And then we need soil. And so that you're looking at about 0.15. So it's 0.75, and then you can sell it for 1.1 with a little bit of other stuff. So it's really not worth it. Like, the profit margin is just not there anymore. And that's why you always have to be, critical thinking on whether it's good to buy things or not. So 0.10. And then over time, obviously there shouldn't be much profit margins in crafting, as more people realize, like, hey, this is an inefficient market. People will come in to fix those and make, the small profit of doing kind of nothing. Crafting is like profit for really nothing. You do spend a little bit of resources, and the resources do have value, but as you can see, we're spending labor, and labor value is going down significantly. So we can buy 1,500 labor for 4 BSLT right now. Yep, so doing any of the conversions, those are terrible. 0.04. Let's check on the sales history here. Yep, still holding steady. A lot of these guys are still selling. But yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to earn BSLT once again, it looks like. So again, there's a couple of choices. Is like, do you just start hoarding these items and hoping that they go up in value? That is a potential, because things do go up and down quite a bit. So even with like the labor potions, right, you could potentially make a case that this is a great buying opportunity. Buying them at 4.3 when just about a week ago they were worth 8, 9, 10 BSLT, that gives you a potential chance to double your money. But you have to think about, why was it 10 BSLT last week? And the answer to that is, obviously there was an event going on that required people to open up coin purses. Well, when you think of it logically, we're going to let the price of that go down a little bit more, because right now there's no event and people are just creating them over and over again at their houses. A lot of houses are out in the world. But next week, we now know just by process of elimination that there's going to be new mobs, which means higher level mobs drop a higher level coin purse, which means it costs more labor to open. And also, higher level coin purse means potential for new and rare items out of those coin purses that are needed for progression on the next new items. So we also know that Luna gems are coming, and these are supposed to modify your skills somehow via like accessories. So putting those logics together, it would kind of make sense that you're going to have to open up a ton of coin purses to get the Luna gems, or to get the materials that are needed to craft the Luna gems. And then you're also going to need more labor to craft said Luna gems if you do the crafting method, or if they do, we're just speculating here. We don't know whether the Luna gems are going to drop out of the mobs, or whether they're going to drop materials out of the mobs, or if it's just going to be a crafting recipe. But no matter what happens next week, there is going to be an increase in value on labor, because there's going to be a new way to spend labor. And when a new feature comes out, that is always, hyped up, in demand, hot. You always want to sell things like day one, when the first day they come out, because over time they'll become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So what we'll probably do here is buy a bunch of labor potions like a day or two before the maintenance, and invest all of our BSLT in labor potions. That's probably the smart play to do. And then we'll end up selling the labor potions afterwards. And so you always have to use critical thinking. Like, as a free-to-play player, it's not easy. It's not easy to make money, because if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? This goes back to the whole 99% of free-to-play players are not going to make any money, and they're going to, lose money, lose time, etc. And there's going to be 1% of the population that actually, makes money, is very, very happy as a free-to-play player. but also don't expect, just as a paid player, you're not guaranteed to make money either. What I like to say is 75% of the people that paid money are still going to end up losing, not making money, not making a profit, and only about 25% of the people that did pay money will make profit. So just because you pay does not mean that you win, or you're gonna guaranteed to make money. You still have to be smart. You still have to be better than the rest of the community. Search the woods. Campsite. So now let's go back to the other topic of okay, so we completed that quest, so there's no other quest. Oh, there it is. So the other topic of was free to play versus pay to win / whales, right? So they just introduced the top 5 BSLT having their own private Discord. And they also get a 5% BSLT rebate when purchasing BSLT for the week that they are in the top 5. So they get direct access to XL Games to voice their feedback, concerns, information, etc., right? Some people are angry about this, that they're getting, a premium service. Some people are angry that, free-to-play players are neglected and you have to wait 2 days for customer service tickets, stuff like that. Which is understandable, right? It sucks feeling like that you're a second-class citizen. But you also have to look at it at the game company's point of view. As a free-to-play player, you don't generate any money or any profit for the game company. The game company is actually losing out on free-to-play players, because if everyone was a free-to-play player, they would be hosting the servers and not being able to pay the bills or pay the employees. So the only reason that free-to-play players actually are able to play a game is because a whale spent thousands upon thousands of dollars in said game and allow the free-to-play players to actually, play and enjoy the content of the game. The hope of the game company is that the free-to-play players will eventually either get frustrated or feel like, oh wow, the game was so good, I want to buy something. So there's either the frustration aspect, or there's the loyalty aspect of wow, this game is so cool, I played it for so long, I want to support the game company, I like it. So there's 2 ways that they could potentially make money off of the free-to-play players. But it all comes down to the free-to-play players finally, eventually, spending money on the game, converting them into a paid player. And then once you become a paid player, you're no longer, a free-to-play player anymore. You've now graduated into, you're a paying player, you're a customer. The free-to-play players should essentially think of this as a free trial. It's like, hey, do you like the game? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's interesting? And if they look at it that way, then there'd be less frustration and anger about, games. They realize that their free trial accounts trying to be converted into a paid customer. Then they're like, oh, okay, it makes more sense. It's like, of course we get less labor, or of course we get less Archeum, or of course, we get less things, whatever it is because they want to provide value for the paying players. And if everyone got exactly the same stuff, then there would be no reason for anyone to put down money and to pay. So the games are completely run by the whales. In-game activities as well as like real-world activities. Without the whales, these games cannot exist. And then people ask, well, why don't they charge a subscription? And why don't they just make it fair for everybody? Well, they've tried that model for many, many years, right? And the subscription model wasn't as profitable as a free-to-play model with a cash shop, or free-to-play model with somehow paying for progression type thing. The amount of players that you'll get as a subscription-based game, if you charge $15 a month, which is kind of standard in the gaming industry, you get, say, like 1,000 players. Well, if you do a free-to-play game, you can get probably 10,000 players or 20,000 players, and out of those 20,000 players, you'll get like 5 whales, and those 5 whales will actually spend more money than the subscription-based model. And then also, besides the whales, you'll get a couple of people in that business model that will spend $5, $10, $20. So it just comes down to numbers and profit. And games tried the subscription model for many, many years. Right? 20 years ago, like, every game was a subscription-based game. MMORPGs were subscription-based, and then you had to pay, box costs to buy the expansions and so forth. Those games all realized fairly quickly that it wasn't a sustainable business model, and that they had to shut down or they had to try something else. So they ended up trying the free-to-play model and realized, like, hey, this is actually more profitable. It allows us to operate our game and keep the servers running longer. And the community, although they bitch and whine about fairness and pay to win, they like it more than the subscription-based game. So it's unfortunate for people that want a more like fair, leveled playing field. But we've already tried the subscription-based model, and it doesn't really work. Craft 1 gig. It's not hot enough to take the bricks. Alright, so we have no idea what we're doing here. Normally we just click things and it works. Okay, so we need more bricks. It's not hot enough to take the bricks. Huh? Okay, so we collect the mud. Okay, we did it. Hit a multiple click. So the cool thing, and the reason why I really like Archeworld, is it solves the problem of pay-to-win cash shops, right? Because, so in my mind, everything comes from other players. And all the items in this game are pretty much tradable. So in order for a whale to whale away, someone had to actually play the game, earn the items, and sell the items. And that's why in the very beginning of the server, you saw the blue Archeum core sell for like 1,000 BSLT. It's because there was only 1 or 2 blue Archeum cores, and the whales really wanted to have the first, tier 4 armor. They really wanted to be, stronger, faster than someone else. So the whales, they didn't care about the money, and they just wanted the stuff right away. The interesting thing with that is if we look at the rankings, the persons that were doing that were like Sisman. He was like number 1 for a while, and now he's dropped down to number 6. because, you know, eventually as things got cheaper, there was a new whale that came around. And this new whale was like, whoa, I'm going to buy up a bunch of things. And then Sysman got like frustrated or angry. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore. So like Sysman probably spent almost as much money. I mean, not almost as much, but Sysman probably spent a lot of money. Probably more money than this dude up here, the number 2 guy. Maybe more than the number 3 guy. Because when he was buying his stuff, he was actually paying a lot more for it. He was paying 1,000 BSLT per Archeum core. And then he was also buying the purple ones. And the purple ones that were like 2,000 BSLT at that time. So being impatient definitely cost them a lot of money. But that's the beauty of it. So where there's a loser, there's always a winner too. So the people that were paying 1,000 BSLT and 2,000 BSLT for the Archeum cores, now they feel like suckers. Like, oh man, they're only worth 60. But the people that sold them the Archeum cores and sold them and made that 1,000 BSLT is like, yeah, we made the right decision. And there's always winners and losers in any situation. And so at that point, there was a lot of value in doing rifts, and free-to-play players, you know, could do a rift and get really lucky and end up getting 1,000 BSLT in one rift if they end up getting lucky and got the drop, got the blue Archeum core or the purple Archeum core. So the first couple of weeks of the server, the value for doing rifts was so high that it's like, you should be doing rifts. Like, no matter what, you should be doing rifts. And then also, the value of Archeum was also very high as well. So people figured out moles. Some free-to-play players were making a killing doing moles early on in the server. So these are all things and all lessons that you take with the next version of the game. And the next version is the North America launch. Because it's going to be the exact same game. Hey, we found a mole. It's going to be the exact same game. And so yeah, you'll notice you'll see moles more frequently. Unfortunately, we can't kill the mole. We might want to end up speccing into a class that can kill the mole in the future and do some mole farming. See, so you have to kill him in 30 seconds. Let's see. Oh, his buff is different now. It doesn't have a timer on it. Does he not heal himself anymore? Okay, so he healed himself. We just didn't get to see the timer. Interesting. Yeah, you can see we're definitely not strong enough to kill some mole. That's very interesting that you can't see the timer anymore. Yeah, so you take all these lessons that you've learned and you use them on the new server. At least that's what I'm gonna do. And there will be multiple new servers, so there's America confirmed, and then there's Europe confirmed for servers. We don't know what other servers there might be afterwards. There might be more servers. Most likely there probably will be, you know, another region. I mean, there's talk of a South America server as well. We don't know if it's going to be a combination of the North America server and then also South America combined together, kind of like how Asia is all of Asia. And then the amount of servers that are produced, it all depends on the demand of the game and the popularity of the game. So if the popularity is really high, then of course there will be more servers. If the popularity is very low, then it's like, well, we can't open up any more servers. So they don't want to open up a bajillion servers because then you have a lot of problems with server merges. So if they have one specific server for each region, I think that is the ideal situation. And I think that's what they're going for. Obviously, if the game is a runaway success, then they'll release Asian 2, Asian 3, Asian 4, and so forth. And they have plans for that. Complete. But in general, I think they expected to do just one server. And we'll see how things are going. The population definitely has been stronger than I thought. So right now we have 544 people on the jury trial. Definitely compared to their prior game, ArcAge, the population that is still playing and still active is a lot higher than ArcAge servers. And we haven't got anything. Like, the game is very bare bones basic at this stage. So the fact that player retention is so high bodes really well for the future of the game, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the land price is not working right. You know, like the land profits, which we touched upon, labor in Arceum, is getting really, really cheap. And it's almost to the point where it's not worth it to rent land, which that will have an adverse effect on the game and everything. Because if it's not worth it to rent land, people will then start selling their land and they'll start, you know, evicting out. And that will look bad for the general public, right? When land houses start disappearing and people stop doing crops. The thing right now is that we're still seeing people doing crops, which to me is crazy because crops are just a terrible investment in time and money and labor. And yeah, crops, I stopped doing crops like 3 weeks ago. Because after crunching some numbers and realizing planting these things is a pain in the ass, it's not worth the time and the effort or the labor, why do it? Granted, you know, I'm one of the, you know, quote unquote whales that have, you know, 15 properties. So it takes a lot of time to do crops. But even with one property, it's still just not worth the time and effort. Go do moles or go do raids. Go flip items on the auction house. Anything else besides crops. Again, these are just my opinions though. So I did a video about where the floor price is for labor pots in Arceum, and it pretty much comes down to labor pots can go as low as 3 BSLT, and Arceum can go down as low as 20 for the 10,000 bundle before land starts becoming unprofitable to rent. So we'll see if we get down that far. I really don't think that the labor pots will get down that low. Arceum might get down that low because Arceum is used for upgrading, but people are only going to upgrade. How do we say this? They're going to upgrade at not specific times, but they're going to upgrade like at one time. So you're not just going to buy 10,000 Arceum just to buy 10,000 Arceum. When you buy Arceum, you're going to be like, I need 100,000 Arceum, or I need 200,000 Arceum. It's going to be a high amount of Arceum that you need to progress your character. If we look at like the top player, he needs like 1 million Arceum to upgrade his gear. So we look at his weapon here. He needs 2,200,000 Arceum to upgrade his weapon to get to the next tier. So if he were to go and be like, yeah, I'm going to buy some Arceum, he's not buying 10,000 Arceum. He's going to try and buy 2 million Arceum to upgrade that gear. You know, someone at with tier 5, he's going to need 500,000 Arceum to upgrade his gear. Or if you just got tier 4 armor and stuff, you're going to need 50,000. That's actually tier 5. Yeah, he's all in tier 5. So to progress your character, you're going to need a lot of Arceum. So it's the Arceum price could greatly fluctuate. It could go down to like say 20 BSLT or 15 BSLT, and then all of a sudden one day, you know, the whale comes in and is like, I'm gonna buy 2 million Archeum, and then when he buys 2 million Archeum, the price skyrockets up to 50 BSLT. The price of Archeum can definitely fluctuate dramatically depending on who's buying. And then after that, after the big whale buys, no one's going to buy it at 50 BSLT besides him. Like, the price is just going to crater back down. So it's going to be these big peaks and valleys of prices, in my opinion, in Archeum. Labor has a similar effect. We saw that with the event. It spiked way up, you know, double, almost triple at some points, and then it slowly went back down. Unfortunately with Archeum is once it goes up, no one's going to buy it at the higher price, so it's going to pretty much crater back down right away. Archeum is a very tricky market, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Archeum, labor, land, everything else, Archeworld. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. As always, this is the free-to-play series. I'll see you in the next one.